This is Mayor Oliver Gilbert, and we've gone virtual. Now, while we're staying at home, I wanted to make sure that the activities that we enjoy together as a community could be brought to you online. Join me for Mental Health Moments with Dr. Tasha. Let's talk.
All right. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Tasha. I am here to do Drive-By Therapy. Hello, City of Miami Gardens. What is Drive-By Therapy? Well, right now, we're just going to call it just therapy. That may feel like a little drive-by. Now, what does that mean? It means that I am going to just share with you what I believe is possibly in the minds and the hearts of the folks that are listening. And of course, you have time in the next few minutes to actually send in a question of anything that you're struggling with, and then I will actually respond. So thank you to everyone that is tuning in. So I had a little thought today, and that was, what is the recipe of a happy home? I'm glad you asked. Let's start. Let's start with the idea of laughter. Now, I've talked about this before. You guys have heard how laughter and being funny, and actually, like, even some people think that they're like stand-up comedians. We all know those folks in our families. Some of them are funny and some of them are not. But sometimes it's just funny to laugh either at them or with them. And so I want to actually encourage a lot of us to try your best to sometimes to keep from yelling or crying, and that's possibly to laugh. Now, what can we laugh about? Ourselves. I do it all the time, and I think I'm pretty funny. But the truth is, I'm trying my best not to take life so seriously, because think about it. Everything's intense right now, right? I mean, everything. If it's not school or graduations, it's trips, it's plans, it's work or not work, it's money or the lack of money. And so kind of have to say to yourself, oh my gosh, this is my real life. I mean, this is really my real life. And so that's what I want to give you right now. We're going to work on laughter. That's number one. Okay, you ready? Number two. I want you guys to think of ways to say to yourself, in 10 years, what is the memory that I would like us all to have? So number two would be creating good memories. What in the world do you say when I think in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years, in 2021 or 2022, what would we like to say about this pandemic? How about, can you believe that we were up under each other this long? I mean, really, this long. No one has had to put up with their own family or friends this long. So we're going to hopefully have good memories. For instance, did you guys have a project? I mean, like, think about it. Have you said to yourself, I want to paint a room? Or I've always wanted to garden and plant different flowers or plant different vegetables. Do it now. I know your grandma been waiting for you to do it. She would be so proud. Think about this. You actually going to take the time to cultivate the land. And I don't know much about it, but I do know it gets quite dirty. I mean, you got to like turn the land. I think it's called tilling the land. You got to toil the land. You got to do something with the land, and you got to get in there, and you got to break up the dirt, and then you got to find ways to plant the seeds. Now listen to this. Literally, you got to plant the seeds and find ways to plant them deep enough so that the roots somehow get in there. And then you slowly wait and do what? Water it, and then nurture it. And this is interesting. This actually is kind of the idea of maybe number three. So we're creating good memories by creating different projects to do around the house, where we can look back and almost like see what has happened. But it's interesting though. Did you hear me say nurture and grow with water? What about with being nice? So we're going to use this same idea with number three, and this is find ways to have a pleasant relationship with whomever's in the house. Or for those that are single, find ways to have a pleasant relationship with other people that you're talking to on the phone. So how do we grow really nice relationships that are really based on love and respect and support? Yes, I said it. This is one thing about men that I've learned. Men always want to feel appreciated, respected, and supported. So ladies, guess whose job it is? It's for us as daughters, as sisters, as female friends, as boyfriends, as wives. It's our job to help these men feel supported, appreciated, and respected. So the way to grow a good relationship, just like that seed, is to bring those three things. You taking notes? I hope you're taking notes. Now, ladies need, fellas, yes, there are some things that we need, and that is to be what? Feel loved. And to really feel heard. Now, in your mind, it's like, really? Like, that's it? Yeah. Like sometimes when a woman feels heard, now remember, I know we do a lot of talking. I'm aware. Our daughters do a lot of talking. Our nieces do a lot of talking. Our wives, our girlfriends. I mean, we talk a lot. I know. I'm one of them. But it's crazy. We actually want to feel heard, which means maybe you can either give us feedback and not just say, okay, you know how you guys are really good at that. I'm saying really being engaged and really making her feel heard, which then makes her feel loved. Now, feeling loved comes with a lot. It is sometimes with verbal affection as well as physical affection. So that's a nice hug, a nice kiss, a nice cuddle, but touch. And I'm saying a safe touch that's wanted. Listen to me. I'm talking about physical affection that's wanted. Makes her feel loved. You got that? Okay. So that was number 3. Laughter, good memories, and creating good relationships to grow out of being nice. Okay, let's see. What's another recipe for a happy home? Oh, I guess this would be structure. Now, I know a lot of us don't like structure. However, most of us do really well when there's structure. So this is what's interesting. I know parents, you want to sometimes be the cool parent. But you know what happens when you become the cool parent and there's a lack of structure. That lack of structure sometimes breeds the child that's so lazy, lackadaisical, kind of nonchalant. Like literally, they are not that moved because you're so cool. Guess what would happen if you actually became a parent that brought structure? Now, I'm not talking about extra strict. I'm talking about structure. Structure in a way where there's a routine, there's an expectation, and possibly some follow through. And then once it's consistent, then everybody in the home kind of knows what's expected of the day. And there's no surprises because we know how we do not like surprises. Okay. Oh my goodness. We have a question from Facebook. I'm so excited. Could you place that question up one more time, sir? Question from Facebook says, what is a good way or activity when you need to talk it out to keep the happy home? Oh, wow. Okay. So I'm going to kind of be a little cheesy because I'm a little cheesy. That's what I do. Is game nights. Okay. So you know how interesting it is when folks have some competition? I'm talking about like whatever games possibly, remember age appropriate games where you're actually having a little bit of a competition. It could be kids against the parents. It could be boys in the house versus the girls in the house. It could be maybe grandparents with the grandkids and then the aunts and uncles. And so the idea is the activities could be games and healthy competition, meaning that it doesn't get out of hand, meaning that you don't take it too personal and don't get too defensive. Are you understanding what I'm saying when I say don't get defensive? That means sometimes you just got to chalk it up to the game, literally, right? Or the activity. Now, how do we build a happy home and actually talk to each other? Oh boy, this is the really hard stuff. This is called being or communicating in a way that's assertive and not aggressive. I was just talking about this earlier. Now, aggression, we know what aggression is. It is when you become reactive. You heard that? Reactive. That means that you are full on emotional, right? And you are give it to whomever raw with no buffer, right? With no apology, just complete full force ahead aggression. That's aggression. Guess what happens with aggression? It's not well received. But when you become assertive, okay? Assertive. Are we taking notes? This is actually a really good word. Assertive is that you're sure of yourself. Some of us need to be right, and some of us need to work on just being nice and listening. But being right is important to you. So you're going to assertively present what you think is right. Whomever. teenager, adult, parent. And after you do that, guess what you're going to do? After being assertive, you're going to listen to the other side. And then we're having some healthy communication. Because let me tell you what happens when we're on the other side. No one actually gets hurt. And at the end of the day, both parties get hurt. No one's hurt and both parties are hurt. But when we do it in a healthy way, you're well received, literally because the other person feels respected. And I was thinking about the idea of they feel not hurt. What's the word of being not hurt? Helped. And possibly, I don't know, maybe acknowledged. These are all like beautiful words. Maybe even encouraged. When someone does something wrong to you and they actually apologize, you're like, oh, wow, thanks so much, right? And it's like, it's done. So the idea of being assertive versus aggressive, if you want to be hurt, is way better to be assertive. And what's another way that I'm thinking of how we can keep that happy home going with in terms of communication? Probably honesty. So this is for all people because all ages lie. Can I say it like that? All ages lie. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, sometimes we as adults were liars or quite deceptive in our day that we act so brand new when our kids lie and are deceptive like we used to be. Mm-hmm. It's so hard to look in the mirror. I know. Believe me, I know. Okay. Question from Facebook. What if your honesty is too raw? Oh, is that what we're saying today? Okay. This is happening right now. Oh boy, what happens when it's too raw? Okay. The only way I can think about it is because I'm actually quite honest to where it has been too raw. And I've actually learned this from my grandmother that folks don't really like it raw because they actually end up getting hurt. It almost becomes borderline abusive. Yes, I said that word. Sometimes we don't like that word, but it is what it is. We can be strict and we can be firm, but when the honesty is actually hurting someone, right, then it's not worth it. So how do we get to be less raw? Let's see. How about we care about the heart of the person that we're talking to? So for instance, my personality is quite bold, if you can't tell, okay? She is all the way like this on a daily basis. In the morning, in the evening, ask my folks, okay? This doesn't change. But what's interesting is I'm able to say a lot of things honestly because my heart is pure. Literally, you have to find ways that your motives are pure. What does that mean to have your motives pure? That means that your, what would be the way to say this? Excuse me, salute the man. So the idea is that you literally in your heart are saying to yourself, man, I really want to tell them about themselves, but I don't want to hurt them. So you're coming from a good place. Most times when you're coming from a good place, it won't come out as harsh, right? These are all words that we don't really like. And when we can almost sometimes feel it. Ooh, and I thought about this word, spiteful. Oh, yes. Sometimes when we're finally having that communication, that honest communication with our spouse or with our child or with our grandparent or with our mother, we're trying to be spiteful, or words that I've heard, right? New age is petty. We got a lot of folks that are petty. But guess what doesn't happen when folks are petty? Nothing gets resolved because now we're just taking score. So you get a point and I get a point. But like at the end of the day, who's winning? Like really, who's winning? So check your motives, check your heart, and try to be more pure. Another question from Facebook. Can you put it back up, sir? All right, third question. Oh, we are on point right now. What do you do if your assertiveness it seems too strong? Okay, so we're back to the same harshness. So if you think it's too strong, why not soften it? Now, let me tell you what softening does to the person that's listening. It actually helps them to hear you. So I had to learn this. This is like in about a year in of trying to be a little softer, not like a punk, right? Because a sister is no punk over here. You hear me? But softening actually helps people to almost feel like a sense, like an atmosphere that's more pleasant. I have to learn this in my own relationship. Okay. I'm telling on myself right now that when you have this level of a softening, it really truly brings the entire environment that could be toxic, to a place of being more healthy, right? Because what can we get done when we're at a 10? 10 and a 10. You at a 10, I'm at a 10. Who's listening? No one. But a softening says, wow, babe, can you calm down a little bit? Because I can tell we're getting out of hand. We are getting out of hand. So you're acknowledging not all the yous, but the I's. And that's not just for women. Fellas, right? You want her to respect you. She has to feel respected. So there has to be a softening on your part as well. Now, again, that doesn't mean that you're soft. That means that you're going into a place of vulnerability. Ooh, I love the word vulnerability. There is a real strength in being vulnerable. I mean, it's the best feeling when you can actually be fully yourself and that the other person is like fully accepting of you being fully yourself. But you're not holding back, right? And you're really like being like authentic. You've ever heard the word authentic? Most people are relatable and there's probably another word, but most people like to keep people around that are quite authentic, meaning that you are the same way consistently all the time. You have a unique nature to yourself. You may even be a little quirky, but it's just who you are. And you don't try to be something different. And so let me tell you what's cool about when you become your authentic self, that whomever is around you, they actually can know, right, what's coming versus, and I'm telling you, and I used this earlier, versus always being surprised. I think one of the things that I've heard with a lot of relationships, especially in the household right now, right, because there's a question of how do we cope when we're being cooped up? But like truly, if each person is being themselves, hopefully being nice, and each person is feeling respected, then look at the home. We're like now into a happy home, or at least a home that is peaceful and not toxic. And let me talk about toxicity. Oh boy. Now, in our community as brown folks, and I'm going to say it, we're sometimes so used to toxicity around us that we bring it into the home. And then we're so used to toxicity within the home that not only do we not like it, we don't like it, but we end up creating it. So let me explain that. Why would someone create chaos in their home if they don't like chaos? Good question. If that was the case and it was that easy, then I probably wouldn't have a job, because it is my job as a drive-by therapist, which I like to call myself best drive-by therapist in town. It's possible that you could actually learn that, man, what am I doing to contribute to this toxicity? That's the question. If it feels like this, or I can't stand like all this ugliness that we feel it like it's tense, like you feel it all in your back and your sleep and everything. Like we're actually feeling tense. We're actually feeling the tension, but we're not doing anything to lower it or soften it. You hear this word? It's because we're so used to it. It's like we can get into a pattern. It's like the cyclical pattern, right? You're going to do this, then I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to do this, and you're going to do this. And the idea is who's going to get off of the this cyclical pattern that's toxic? You are. And then when you get off, I wonder if that person will start arguing with themselves. You ever try to argue with somebody that didn't talk back to you? It's the worst. For instance, say I want to yell. You know how when you're ready to have a good yell. I mean, good yell. Like you're mad. You have a real good argument. And the person is like, are you done? You cussed a little bit too much today. Are you done? Because I can't really, like, I can't do this. What do? Probably either shut down or get madder. That is true. However, they're not going to engage with you. So I'm saying become that person. Literally bring it to a place of shutting down isn't good, but bringing it down from the 10 to the 8 to the 7 to the 6 to the 5. That's what's good. You're actually saying to yourself, it's about time for our household to be a house of peace or be a happy home. Whatever way that you like to think of your household to be something different than it is actually up to you. Could you imagine that? If you change and the house will change? Oh, yeah, it happened. I'm talking about even the kids that could be responsible and do their chores without having to be asked. Like the parent now doesn't have anything to argue about. At least a parent that is not trying to always stay angry. And I do know there are kids out here that actually are doing right, are doing the work, and sometimes they still have this in their ear. And I would say to you, kid, I apologize that you have a toxic home, right? But continue to do what you are supposed to do so that you don't provoke it to get any worse. And parents, if you find yourself literally losing it, step outside, right? There's a point that your parent, that a parent, as a parent, you can get so upset that you start saying things that you don't mean and you can't take back words. I think the interesting thing about always doing therapy and having adults in my sessions and on my couch is that a lot of people are actually complaining about the things that they heard. Like they're literally hurt by what was told to them in 3rd grade, in 11th grade, in their homes, on the playground, and they can't unhear this. So it's almost like you're actually messing up your child's mental health the way that you possibly were bullied. And then we got another, oh boy, what are we calling this? Another cycle. So it's just my hope that you will hopefully like get fed up with toxicity or the toxic relationships that you have, and you're going to do something different. Okay, another question. How do you encourage or foster intimacy between one another? Ooh, I love the word intimacy. Oh my goodness. It is like the best feeling ever when you have an intimate connection with someone. Now, intimacy has nothing to do with just between spouse and spouse, right? It has nothing to do with just the idea of, and when everything gets all physical, right? In long-term relationships or in marriages or in the bedroom. Intimacy is actually something that says that, like, which I was saying a little bit earlier, that vulnerability and you fully accept each other. But it's the idea of that you really want to, which we talked about fostering or growing a good relationship. Growing an intimate relationship has to take it even up a notch, even further. I mean, like, it's the best feeling when you actually know that the other person has your best interest at heart, to the point where you can depend on them. Hello, independent women that talk about, I don't need a man or I don't need this. It's not a good look, especially if you're dating. It's not a good look. And please don't be married. Are you really telling your husband that you don't need him? That's not a good look. Like, I'm literally telling you, as an independent woman that has her own business, I feel like I have about 5 to 6, 7, 8 jobs right now. Yes. Black Americans do work and are not lazy. Oh, message. But I'm truly saying this in terms of not making your man, for ladies that have a man, not making your man feel like you don't need him. That's actually what they actually thrive off of. Now, I'm not saying if you can open the pickle jar, you actually are like, oh, I can't do it. Can you do it for me? I'm not talking about that. That's shallow stuff. You know, if you can open the pickle jar, open the pickle jar if you want to open the pickle jar. What I'm saying to you is, you might not even have to. You can say, babe, can you get the pickles and can you open it up for me? You don't even have to work that hard. Sometimes we're doing too much to the point where they don't feel needed. And then they end up going into a place of withdrawal. Scary place for a man to be, in a place of withdrawal. This is like, did we just move into couples therapy? I think we did. Couples therapy 101 on a Wednesday. It's happening. This is a big deal. So same for vice versa. A lot of times people say, why are you always telling the ladies what to do? Because I am one. And because I grew up with the father that I saw deserved certain things. And I want to give those to men that deserve certain things. Okay. So on the flip side, how do we foster intimacy when it comes to, as a man, to a woman? So I would like to say, what's the best way to say this? If you know that your woman has your best interest at heart, a lot of times it's possible, because we think a mile a minute. I know we talk a lot, we think a lot quickly, and then you got to deal with everything and try to itemize it. You're welcome. That's how we do. That's what we do. We give that to y'all, and we then want you to do something with it. Let me tell you what happens if you not only listen to her, but even support her in a way of contributing. So in the household, I'm not saying you got to be all the way domestic, brothers. I'm actually saying to just offer to help. Now, some women like flowers and chocolates and all of that. I don't like chocolate. I don't understand why we like things that die in like 2 weeks. It's not my thing, right? But you're not married to me. Find out what she likes, right? Find out what you used to do when you were dating. That's right. did you used to do? What made her giggle, right? I think the best thing in life is when a woman giggles, that kind of tells you that she's in a safe place. And brothers, if you can get your woman to that place, now we're talking about intimacy. Okay, so there's the question of, what if the man is the domestic one? Oh boy. Oh, y'all are not playing tonight. Okay, I am seeing all the questions. If the man is the domestic one, I'm almost assuming, I wish I could ask you, Mr. Man, I'm sure a man wrote this, that are you kind of fed up because she needs to contribute? Uh-huh. That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing through the screen. That literally, is she not clean? Is she filthy? Or like in a way of, what's the best way? Not organized. Either way it goes, she might be lazier than your preference. So in the nice way, because we're trying to cultivate nice relationships of love and intimacy. What about that first kind of softening? Hello, remember, go back to that. You gotta go back to the softening. You literally say, like, hey babe, you mind taking care of this while I do this, right? Because a lot of times, I know sometimes women, if we're tired, but a lot of women that are not domestic means that they work for 40, 50, 60 hours and we don't want to. So it's possible. However, it's a lot easier when we are both doing chores. I found that when it comes to relationships, versus you on the couch and then she's doing it all, or she feels like she's doing it all. Sisters, if your man is getting exhausted because you're working so much and they're the domestic one, I would say, please make sure you're appreciating them. Please make sure you're saying the thank yous and the how about I take care of it this Saturday? You sit down because you've been working hard. I think that's like one of their favorite things to do when they don't have to work, especially those that are working. Not the brothers that's unemployed sitting around doing nothing. Obviously, not unemployed when it comes to furlough, but unemployed because they're not ambitious. Two different types of unemployment. Because, right, ambition is kind of sexy, brothers, just to let you know from a girl's point of view. But the idea, if you're the domestic one, mention to her that it would really matter to you if, right? Because sometimes what I've seen is a lot of men are being supported knowing that she works a lot and then they're doing it. But then sometimes they start to feel like she's taking it for granted. And then you start to become resentful. And y'all already know, we're back to this. This is my little symbol today. We're back to the cycle of resentments. And let me tell you, first they start off quiet. Inside yourself, it's like, right? You get the little look. You watch them sit down. You watch them go to sleep early. You watch them go right by the dishes, even though you watched them for the past 4 days. And so you get a little quiet with the resentments, which is why I'm saying, talk about it. Remember, assertively, not aggressively. But then after you don't talk about it, then there are no possible actions that change. Now, is that her fault or is that your fault? Because she possibly didn't know, if you didn't tell her, that you were becoming bothered or felt like you were being taken for granted. Okay, what else? So this was really good. Thank you for the questions. I love the questions. This is like popcorn right here. We can do popcorn any day. Okay, so what's another way that we can have a happy home? I think this is like number 4. We went into a whole thing of questions, which I love, but I think we said laughter, creating good memories, and cultivating healthy relationships, not toxic ones. And I think I'm going to end with, we talked about cleanliness and structure. So that's right. We did do 4. So 5 would be, I want to say, having a little bit of spontaneity. Now, spontaneity to me is when everything isn't always controlled, right? So, of course, it's the opposite of structure. But once you have the structure, then you kind of give yourself different passes. And I'm saying passes of like, let's just, eat. I don't know. Anybody ever ate dessert before dinner? I have. It's so much fun. Like, let's just eat ice cream before we eat the chicken. Yeah, let's just do it. Or let's let the kids stay up past 10:30. They don't have to go to school tomorrow, right? And let's all go for a walk. I know we ain't ever done this before, but let's just go for a walk. And let's put our phones down. Yeah. And talk. It'd be crazy if a family just talk to each other, walk together, eat together. That'd be real interesting. I'm wondering what we would call that. A family. A family of love. A family that wants to actually spend time together. And a family that actually will probably grow closer through this pandemic, to be honest. So I want to actually encourage folks to be spontaneous. And yes, spouses or partners or lovers, spontaneity is very sexy, right? That means that they didn't have to tell you what they wanted. You know, because you've been watching and you've been listening, that you do something that's thoughtful out of the blue, right? I mean, completely out of the blue. I don't care if it's going to get a Kit Kat at the grocery store. So that's a little bit of drive-by therapy, y'all. This is Dr. Tasha. I have totally enjoyed today. Thank you for the questions. I love a good popcorn question and answer. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you, City of Miami Gardens, for listening. And thank you, Mayor Oliver, for having me on your platform. Take care, y'all.
I hope you enjoyed today's session. Join us every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. on Facebook Live for a mental health moment with Dr. Tasha. If you want to view the session again, visit cmgengage.com/virtual. I'll see you next week.